on fire, the open roads are thrown by the life televised, we're breaking every bone. Adrenaline insurgents, brace on the fall. Hitting it with HardWire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our metal dream. Riding hard, never slowing me. In the spotlight we shine. A biker's brutal journey. This life is ours divine. With HardWire, the crowd screams our name, chasing down the shadows, we're addicted to the fame. Chains rattling loud, the brotherhood's alive. Every episode turns up, we're here to survive. From dusk till dawn, we're the kings of this brew. Hitting it with HardWire, hear the engine scream. Living fast and reckless, this is our metal dream. Riding hard, never slowing me. In the spotlight we shine. A biker's brutal journey. This life is ours divine. On the edge of chaos, we embrace the feel. Hitting it with HardWire, we'll always be here.
Hey, welcome to Hittin It with HardWire. Hey, they finally made this damn thing big enough where you could see what people are saying. That's good. It's about damn time. I hope that there isn't any technical difficulties today, like there usually is. As long as you could hear me and you can see me, everything seems to be okay. So we will keep our fingers crossed. And, well, we finally got our camper packed away for the winter. And it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be to winterize a camper. It turned out not be too bad. Putting the cover over the top was a little bit more challenging, but still not as bad as I thought it would be. How about them Steelers today, knocking them Colts off? That was pretty awesome. They played like a team. They played like a team that actually knew how to win. And after the showing they had the last couple of weeks, it was like a whole different team. It was like, holy cow, this looks like a team that pays that much for their defense. You know, one of the high. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the highest paid defense in the NFL, and they've been playing like a bunch of high school footballers. They look good today, though. What's up, Carney? I see Carney and Papa and Gary and Mr. Posey. That's good that I actually went on a Sunday this week. And for those that didn't know, Thursday was my birthday. I made it to 49. And I spent most of the day in the damn hospital. How about that? I was at work, and for those of you that watch my show once in a while, you know I got some back issues, and it's right in between my shoulder blades, and sometimes it shoots pains into my chest. So I didn't think nothing of it. In a couple hours, I started like getting lightheaded and having some trouble concentrating. So I'm like, I better go to the hospital. And I don't know what hospitals are like wherever you live. But if you go to the hospital here, and it's even a small town, but if you go to the hospital here, you might as well plan on spending a whole day there. And they ran some tests that all come back good, and then they wanted me to stay for some more tests. They wanted to admit me overnight and do the whole CT workup of the chest and all that, and I said I can't afford that. There's no way. Last time I went to the hospital for a weekend, let them do the stress test and all that stuff. I ended up having to file for bankruptcy because it was that bad. The Bears. I don't know. I seen the Bears won a game. I don't know how long ago it was, but at least one this year that was like a big upset because I seen them come up on news saying, "Oh, the Bears actually won this game." Blah, blah, blah. I don't follow them. Like I know some people like get into the whole fantasy football teams and they like follow like stats of all the players and follow every team. Yeah, I've never been quite into it that much. I pretty much watch my team and that's about it. Sometimes I'll watch a few other teams, especially if I need them to lose. If I need them to lose for some kind of a Steelers advantage, like in the playoffs or something, I'll start watching other teams. Which I think last year was a whole bunch of games we needed people to lose. And if you didn't notice in the background, buy your copies of Hollywood's books there. I got mine. Yeah. Well, the words are backwards. That's brotherhood and betrayal and power and betrayal. And I'm going to get an acting part in the movie when he makes it. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, I've been trying to do a little research into becoming a little bit more involved politically in the area. Possibly, everybody keeps telling me, like, hey, start here, start all the way at the bottom. Like, first you start by handing out flyers and going and knocking doors for the Republican Party, and then you work your way to, like, working at the polling place, and then I ain't got time for all that. I'm too old. I can't start that far from scratch to make it somewhere. And you're not telling me somebody like Fetterman and some of these morons did any of that stuff. I know better. They didn't. Fetterman was still living in his parents' basement when he got elected. Okay, I'm a step above that. Not a whole lot farther, but I'm a step higher than that. What's up, Mike? Yeah, I'm not sure why it does that. Where it says that it doesn't put your actual names up there. What's that at? Must be some kind of. I think I heard somebody say that was some kind of a YouTube glitch or something. But yeah, I'm going to look harder and more into jumping in the arena somewhere. I think I'd be perfect for it. Because I think the Republican Party needs more people like normal people like me. I'm semi-normal, more close to normal people like me. I'm semi-normal, sorta. But I'm way more down to earth, and I have more common sense than a lot of people in this day and age. So you got to be good for it. Plus, I don't care how much money anybody wanted to throw at me. All I need is enough. I don't have any aspirations for a mansion or a big giant house. I'm happy in the little house I have. You know, I wouldn't want to. And if I'm looking at how much money they make, and like the house, for example, that would be plenty of money for me to live off of. They wouldn't need to give me more. I would be more than enough for me to live quite happily. I don't know why some people think they got to hoard. Dude, if I had the money some of these people threw away on like a car or a yacht, for example. I've seen how much some of them yachts cost. Dude, most of us in here even could retire and live comfortably the rest of our lives on the money they spend on a fucking boat or a car, and that makes me ill. It really does. Yeah, I don't know that they will, but well, I do. I'm going to have the issue of right now. My district in Ohio has a Republican that's currently seated. So unless they told me sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean anything because they still have people they want to stick on the primary with them or whatever. I don't know how exactly that works, but he said, I told him, when I talked to a few of the Republican party of the local area, they said it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want more people to run, even though they have a Republican in this district right now. And I see, one of the things that always bugs me to death is when I go down to vote, and if you go down the list, I don't know how it is where you live, but where I live at, it's been most of my life I've noticed there are quite a few races that are run uncontested. In other words, there's only somebody like a Democrat run and no Republican, or a Republican and no Democrat. You can't tell me you can't find somebody who'd be willing to stick their frickin' name on there. I never understood that. That drives me nuts. I hate uncontested races. They ought to have somebody in there. There should never be an uncontested race. There should be no such thing. I always tell people I ended up in a weird place politically because I started out. There's a lot of reasons why you tend to venture more conservative. As you get older, your opinions change somewhat. But I was a Democrat at one point in time, just like Donald Trump, for example. Okay, I was a Democrat at one point in time. And there's a lot of America that can say the same thing, especially in this day and age. I was a kind of a middle of the road, probably a little more right, but a Democrat nonetheless. And then I got so disgruntled with the way things were going that I kind of changed myself to an independent. And then the goalposts just kept getting moved farther and farther until now I'm kind of. I could be considered kind of far right in some things, but most things I'm pretty middle of the road on most things. But I think I represent a huge swath of America that we're kind of in the middle, but we got pushed because of the absolute craziness that exists now on the left. It pushed a lot of more central people all to the middle right. And I represent a lot of us that have kind of gotten that spot. And I told him, I said, I think people are honestly tired of everyday run-of-the-mill Republicans, the regular suit and tie all the time, look all hoity-toity, I think people are tired of guys like that. I really do. And something about a lot of people, including myself, that immediately doesn't want to trust somebody like that. If they're always wearing a suit and they got that kind of a car salesman attitude, I can't. It's not that they're not trustworthy necessarily, but that my defenses go up immediately. I mean, I don't know about any of you, but that's exactly how I am. Well, Papa, they might a lot of the establishment might hate a lot of us middle of the road people, but there are too many of us to ignore by a long shot. I mean, I prefer the generation I come from. I think a lot of this wokeness is making things worse. It's not that it didn't originate from a good place. It started there. That's not what it became. It morphed into some disgusting far left craziness. It started out coming from a good place in somebody's heart who didn't want to see people get picked on and blah, blah, blah. I get it, okay? I understand. But it got way blown out of proportion. It started getting taken way too seriously. And then you started violating other people's rights to insist that you were getting more, what ended up being more rights than the average everyday person. And there's a lot of movements, and this is probably piss a lot of people off when I say this, but from my perspective, this is what I've seen. Every big movement started out with all the best of intentions. Women's rights, all equal rights movements throughout time. Women's rights, minority, all the different types of minorities. There's so many different ones, but they all start out at a legitimately very good place, but they morph into something entirely different. It's from people who want to make activism their like career, and they don't stop. They can't stop, or they'll be out of a job. They don't stop when they get what they want. The only thing you can do when you're an activist and is shift course, find something else, and push and push. You get what you want, you push for more, and it gets to the point where a lot of it, what you see is people get more rights than others, and then others start getting upset. Like, hey, I don't even get that. You're pushing for too much. You're getting more than everybody else. I mean, but I understand where it come from. Believe it or not, and this is really going to, like, some people could cut this and see it as a really bad thing, but I don't care what anybody says, even when it comes to domestic violence, okay? Domestic violence laws, a lot of them started out with the best of fucking intentions, and they really did, but they have gotten carried away, given too many rights to one party in every situation, and immediately condemned the other party, and it's got seriously twisted, and the whole system that started out with the best of intentions has seriously gotten twisted and morphed into disastrous territory where it really messes people's lives up for not doing anything. Like, if you're anything like me, I have been in places where I have seen some whacked out, crazy women, and the first thing they will do is dude, I've seen them do it. I've seen several of them do it. They'll fucking punch themselves and say, I'll call the law on you. And they play that system, and they play it hard, and they don't realize they can destroy a man's life. And women are just sadistic. A lot of women, not all women, don't, but a lot of them are whacked out enough. They know how to play the system, and it can destroy a lot of good people's lives for not doing anything. And there has got to be a way to work on the system, come in and find a lot of these things like that have gotten twisted and try to straighten them back out a little bit. I mean, they start with the best of intentions. In a lot of situations, you might say it saved lives. In a lot of situations, it probably has. But it's also destroyed a lot of lives for no reason, because people get blamed for shit they didn't do. And it happens a lot more than you think. A lot more than some people might think that don't see that kind of stuff on a regular. What's up, Doc? It is good to see you, man. I'm glad you stopped in. I like to think this time slot on the evening on a Sunday, when everybody's days are winding down, is a much better time slot. Most of the best football games have happened around 1 o'clock. And see what, we're about halftime for the second game. So you can at least drop in and say hi and click me a like and say hi. I appreciate everybody that stops in and says hi. I'll put if you want to donate, that's where you can donate. If you want to donate to help out the person who started all this, it all goes to him, and he keeps the torch burning for all of us, and we all stay close, and we'll try to. Some of us have reached out a little more than the chat and tried to get to meet and hang out, which if you can, that's good. A lot of us appreciate it. Even if it's just running into each other and shaking each other's hand, getting a chance to say hi. It's nice to actually meet you in person. I know I appreciate it. And it's always nice to do that. I was one of the weirdos that during COVID, one of the questions people used to ask is, what do you miss the most about the world whenever before COVID hit? And you know what my answer was? Seeing people's faces. Seeing people's faces, seeing a smile. Seeing somebody laugh. I said that's what I miss the most. It was a really bad time because just you could never see, and you don't realize how much that means until you don't have it. And I tell you, that really was one of the things that bothered me the most during the pandemic, was not getting to see other people's faces. Maybe that's weird. Maybe I'm a weirdo. No, I know I'm a weirdo. Oh, what's up, Shocker? Sick bastard. I'm missing some people jumping in. I'm too busy flapping my gums. It's good to see Doc get the chance to stop in. I try to stop in on Doc's show all the time. My old ass. I've been trying to get into some more projects. Winter's coming. I'm trying to get things accomplished. I got most of my bathroom done. I remember telling you I was working on my bathroom. I still got to frame in that stupid exhaust fan. When the landlord put the exhaust, I bought too small of a one, and I got to frame it in. But when he built that, he built a divider. Okay, it's hard for me to explain, but a shower is encapsulated. Usually one side of the shower is open for your curtain and whatnot. Well, he has about 2.5 to 3 foot of the top of it. It looks almost like where there would be a joist or something, but there isn't, because there's nothing on the other side running across the top of it. And what it does is it creates what they call what the hell do they call it? I forget. A steam dam inside there, and there's no way for the steam to get out. I thought about drilling, if I have to, either talking to him. I don't know why it's there. I don't think there was a legitimate reason for it to be there, other than not my current landlord, my first landlord. I think he was not the smartest person in the world, and when he did that, you can either take it out, or allow me to cut holes in it and put like, they make little ventilation fans where you could at least blow the steam out from that where it's all dammed up inside there. And it would help a lot with the problems. I get entirely too involved in this house because I rent. I shouldn't be that worried about it, but I'm trying to make it as nice as I can for me while I'm here. And, you know, if somebody follows me, whoever's here after me, don't have the same kind of stupid ass problems that I have, because you had at one point a landlord that was retarded. Sorry, that's not a very good word to use anymore. I had a landlord that was slowed, whose engine was slowed. Whose mental engine was slowed, and did something stupid. I fixed my little studio room in the basement here. My original landlord would never have let me fix this room up, even though it was hard to even store anything in this room. And I come down and fixed it up, poured stuff on I actually had the outside walls of the concrete were so bad, like you could just take a scraper and scrape the concrete away. There was a lot missing, and I had to re-pour concrete around the outside and level it all up. I just put indoor-outdoor carpet because I'm all for trying to make things a little nicer, but if it's not mine, I'm not going too crazy. And then I painted the walls, and so this is like the third or fourth time I painted the walls, and fucking paint is getting really expensive. If you ain't been to a Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever's the most common in your area, paint is getting expensive as hell. Not that it was ever really cheap for decent paint, but if you want to paint a decent sized room, it's going to cost you a small fortune. I bought paint to repaint the bathroom. That alone was a pretty good chunk. Oh, Steve. That's not nice. I don't make it impossible. I'm actually trying to make improvements, trying to make things easier. I don't quite like my motorhome, or not motorhome, travel trailer. I've slowly tried to replace a lot of the things in there with more durable things that will last longer and are easier to fix if something goes wrong with it. But there are some things in there that they don't make. For some reason, they don't make good versions of. Probably because they want you to have to buy their cheap piece of shit and replace it every couple of years. But I've tried. And I have since, on several things, given up and bought the cheap, crappy replacement that comes from the factory or whatever. But bought extras for planning ahead for when it fails. I do have to fix the, there's a little, like a spring and a little rubber plunger inside of where your foot pedal thing is. And there's a little tiny valve in there, and I got to replace that. I bought 2 of them, and I was going to do it on my last trip of the year. And then I thought to myself, maybe I would be better off if I did it at the beginning of next year. That way that way there's no chance of like water or anything damaging a new one that I just put in. It would make more sense to do it at the beginning of next year. So I decided to put that off until the beginning of next season. When we were we put a cover over it. When we were covering it, the wife found a spot of water in one of the cupboards, strangely enough. And I told her, "Are you sure there was nothing in here that might have somehow leaked some water? Because it doesn't make sense where it would have come from." But regardless, if it was the only bad place that it could have come from at the front, there's no water lines or anything up there. The only bad place it could come from is the ceiling. So, but at the beginning of next year, when I uncover it, we're immediately going to redo the whole. We're going to go from the squeezy crap to the tape. We're going to put tape on it, the Eternal Bond. That stuff's supposed to work way better and not have as like many problems with it. Yeah, we put the only thing I've done so far, like that I've replaced was the sink, and we put a regular kitchen sink in it instead of an RV sink, and that has worked much better. As we go, that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is replace things with better quality, like. I don't know how many of you guys have, if you've ever lived in a trailer, like me, I grew up a trailer trash. Like, it's hard to tell. I grew up trailer trash, lived in a trailer when I was most of my young life. And I always thought those things were made so shitty and cheap. But if you think they're made shitty and cheap, buy a camper. They are made of even worse, even cheaper, crappy stuff. And I've been slowly figuring out how these things work. Okay, they are not as complicated as I originally. You know, when you first buy something, you immediately, your mind wants to think that it's all this really super complicated. Everything's real difficult. But if you let somebody else do all your work for you, you will always continue to think that. But if you dig into things and do things for yourself and learn about them, the more you find out, there's really not very much to one of those. So no matter what goes wrong, there's not a lot to them. The biggest thing being to keep your ceiling sealed and attempt to keep all your valves good, your valve seals and stuff. Like, I had somebody the other day ask me, he goes, "You don't poop in your toilet, do you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they go, "You never shit in an RV." And I went, that's a myth, right? I said, the problem comes, the number one problem that causes problems with people being able to poop in their RV is some people actually do not know that when you hook your toilet up, you do not open it and leave it open. Like, a lot of people, you'd be amazed at how many people don't know that. And what happens when you do that? There's not enough water in there. You could drain the water out. Not enough water in there to keep the system flowing. So you always keep that shut. Always keep that shut. And always use a lot of water. A lot of water. The only time you might be a little bit conservative is if you're dry camping, or dry camping, I think they call it, where you don't have any hookups of any kind. And you might be a little bit careful, but if you care about whether or not you're going to get clogs or anything, always use a lot of water. That's the biggest thing. What's up, So Loud? Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. And my old lady's going to kill me for saying this, but I don't know what it is, but when I go camping, I can go a whole weekend without having to take a dump. Maybe once. For some reason, my old lady's got to shit 5,000 times every time we go camping. The whole weekend long. She's like, Oh, I just know how to take crap. I don't know if it's my nerves or what. But if I have any toilet problems, it's her fault. It's like it really is. It's like I don't know. I know I can kind of get it if you like. If I get really mad or really nervous, sometimes I can feel a little gurgly sometimes, and maybe have to go take a dump. Or if my blood pressure is real high, sometimes. So I can sort of maybe think that maybe it's possible, but I don't know what the hell she'd be nervous about, or what the hell would make your nerves act up about going camping. Oh, that's when you relax. I remember whenever I was in my early 20s, I worked in an oil field. They don't have bathrooms. Every once in a while, if you got real lucky, they would bring a porta john out. But most of the time, you had to go find if you if you want to take a dump, you had to go find a tree. And sometimes you drilled out in the middle of a field. Good luck finding a spot to take a dump in the middle of a field where there's any cover. You know, you're just not. If you're lucky, you work in the middle of the night, and nobody's paying attention. But yeah, and sometimes it could be hard to squinch over and try to hold your balance. And if you're wearing like Carhartts, you got to kind of hold them so they don't like get, you don't want nothing dropping on there. Yeah. Some of you don't have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you've ever been a hunter or a person that like out in the wild, or if you ever worked a rig, you probably have a good idea of what I'm talking about. But that's no fun. I am sad that I have to be done camping for the year. But I didn't bring my phone down. Well, those of you that are on my Facebook, I posted a picture. I think my old lady posted a picture of the camper all wrapped up. It's all wrapped up, all cute, and like it looks like it'll withstand the winter pretty good. Of course, Mike doesn't say nothing for a while, and he pops in during the shit segment. Shit. And that segment shit was brought to you by shit. It's today's shit talk. Oh man, yep. Let's see, I was going to talk about something else. Oh yeah, let's see. Food stamps is like going to be in Ohio. Somehow, Governor DeWine signed a thing saying that Ohio was going to cover, at least from my understanding, a good portion of SNAP benefits for Ohioans, which I didn't vote for. Nah, I wouldn't have wanted to see that. Granted, okay, I understand. I won't say that I've never been on welfare, because I have. I won't lie. There have been times in my life when I was down and out enough that I had to be, and was, and needed to be in order to feed my children. Could I now, if it were like the Great Depression, and if I were forced to still figure out a way to eat enough to survive, could have, yes, I could have. And I think I seen a statistic the other day that was just downright disturbing. You know, it's crazy. It's like something along the line of 80% of all SNAP recipients are overweight. If you can eat enough on your benefits, that your whole family is overweight, something's not right. And I am all for a lot of, we need, it's not that I hate all the systems in America. To say I want them to all go away is an oversimplification of a very difficult problem. But a lot of these systems need some serious overhaul. And you can think about it all you want, think about it, run it through your brain and rack your brain, and you could think real hard of different ways to try it. And I have before thought about different ways you could try to fix things like the welfare system and whatnot. Is it kind of necessary? Yes. Is it abused? Oh, yeah. Way too much. Okay. I think the system has expanded to the point where it's literally become a way of life for a lot of people, and it shouldn't be that way. Believe it or not, I was in a situation just probably 7 or 8 years ago where I had lost my job. I was in between jobs for, I think it was only 3 months or something. And they wouldn't give me anything because I wasn't out of work long enough. They're like, for 3 months, you'll just have to starve. If it lasts longer than that, we'll help you. And it's the dumbest shit ever. It's designed for something like that. If somebody loses their fucking job and they need help for a couple of months while they're in between jobs, that's what that shit was all about. That's what it's for. It's not for what people are using it for today. People are using it as a supplement to their life. They're using it so they don't have to spend their own fucking money on food. They will go out and buy $1,000 phones and things like that and use taxpayers' money to pay for the food when they are capable of buying food for themselves. Okay? I'm not saying take away all these systems by any stretch, but they really need some serious overhaul. And I heard that, what was it, 40%, somewhere along the line of 40% of SNAP recipients in the country right now are illegal, documented people. And that is insane. That is fucking insane. There is no way, shape, or form that should ever be allowed to happen. I know you want to feel sorry for people, and I argue this constantly. I know you want to feel sorry for, so a lot of people want to feel sorry for people, and you want to say, well, isn't it sympathetic that we should help people and all that? And yes, to an extent, you should. Okay, you should. We should all want to help each other, and that's what community used to do. But it's not the United States government's job. It's for you to come together with your communities and when you really need help and get some help. But all these systems have morphed into some crazy things. You cannot possibly have what's it called, destructive empathy, where you feel so sorry and you want to help somebody so bad, so you go and help them, but you destroy everything else. And that's literally what Democrats are trying to do. They want you to have humanity and help these people, but they're going to destroy the country in the meantime. And if you don't believe me, look at our fucking national debt. And I know I'm not dumb enough to think that's the only reason our national debt is that bad, but it's a huge part of it. And then whenever they start grumbling that Social Security is going to go broke, why do you think Social Security is going to go broke? There are so many people out there taking advantage of that. And I know plenty of people that get it that shouldn't, and people that should get it that can't. And it's horrible. It's fucking horrible. It got to the point where, whenever I had my head injury, they said, while you're going back to school, And while you're injured until you're well enough to return to work, you should be able to collect temporary Social Security. And I gave up on it. They kept denying me, even though the doctor filled out all the forms. The doctor's the one who wanted me to get it. He's the one that told me to do it. I gave up, and I shouldn't have, because I could have. I would have gotten, I think it was like 8 years worth or something, because they have to give it back all the way to back where it started. I shouldn't have gave up, but I did. What can I say? I was in my 20s. But there's a lot of broken systems, and there's too many people that want to either oversimplify it or throw it out the window, and that's not really it's not really reasonable. It's not quite possible. I mean, not without causing mass chaos. It's better to try to find ways to fix the systems so that they remain in place, but they're only used for what they're intended to be used for. And the problem you have now is they've let it stay broken for so long. A lot of people don't understand what it was originally for. They don't understand that. They've lost sight of what the systems were for, and now they literally think it's like owed to them. It's something that the government just owes them. And it's a way of living for some people. And the whole premise of it has gotten so obscured now. It's a really complicated issue, but it has to be addressed. And you don't want the alternative, because if they just end up shutting it off, it's going to go very badly, very badly. I don't think, like, there's some federal judge apparently that told Trump that he has to keep the spigots on and has to use the emergency. I don't, for the life of me, have any idea how some small bench federal judge thinks that they can say that. That is way, way overreaching what any little federal judge on a small federal bench should ever be able to say. Now, if they say that it should go like higher up and it gets all the way to the Supreme Court said there's some actual legit like reasoning and the law that says that has to keep going, then I get it. Okay, but these small judges have no right. They can't. This legislating from the bench stuff has gotten way out of hand. Way out of hand. It's atrocious, to say the least. Hey, what's up, Pitbull? I must have missed the first part of that. I just didn't your comment there. It is exceptionally. That's all I say is an exceptionally. There's a lot of broken systems. Okay, healthcare is really bad. I can tell you that because I had to make a choice the other day. The doctor literally told me, I don't want you to leave the hospital. I want you to stay here and get more tests. And I had to say, dude, I have to choose. I'm either going to listen to you and tell you I need to go get more tests to make sure I'm not going to die, or I'm going to have to leave here, sell all my shit, and file bankruptcy. You know, I'm just going to have to take a chance on it. I don't have a choice. There's no option. You know, and it should never have to be that way. It's horrible. You know, people can't get health care when they need it. And I remember, because I said I was on food stamps and I was on fucking SNAP or whatever. They changed the names of it so many times, but I actually remember paper stamps. Look like weird little money come in the book. But I've been on there and I've been on Medicaid before. And it is a sad, sad situation when you get, and you, I don't know how many of you are anywhere near the situation I'm in, but I've been in this situation for quite a few years now where I'm just out of reach of help, but so far on the low end that I get completely fucked. So there are days when I think, if I want to stay alive, I guess I'm just going to have to quit all my jobs or quit my job and go to work at the speedway down here for minimum wage just so I can qualify for welfare and maybe be able to go get my health checked out. Fucking stupid. I've been in that weird limbo spot where I don't make enough to afford to really get health care at all. I pay into it, but they charge me so much back I can't afford it. I'm in one of them. I've been in that kind of a limbo spot for a long time, and it hurts. I end up having to file bankruptcy a few years back because of it. One weekend in the hospital, one weekend and a bunch of heart tests. My bill was over $10,000 fucking dollars. And it's insane and out of control. And there's a lot of broken systems. And rather than, we get a lot of this in our government. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's about all they do. That's about all they do. What are you gonna do? Guess I might as well just make some money off of it because there ain't no way to fucking fix it. So what are you gonna do? I just I hold my hand down here and collect some money, and then at least I can afford some health care. Fuck everybody else, And I think that's what most politicians do. I'm pretty sure that's what most of them do. I think that's what they do. They just throw their arms up. What do you want me to do about it? I'm pretty sure that's what they do. But there has to be some serious discussion. And the panel that makes the decisions is entirely too large. You have to have a smaller panel, people who can actually talk to each other, sit down and come up with intelligent ideas, and some systems need to be fixed. And it cannot continue the way that it is. It cannot. It will not. It will not. We will, as great of a country as our country is, as much as I love it, as long as it keeps acting like it has no responsibility I got into an argument with a dude on the internet the other day. That brings him to mind. He says, well, the government's debt's the government's problem, just like Walmart's debt's Walmart's problem. I said, dude, do you realize how stupid you just sounded? The government's debt is all of our problem, because where do you think all that money comes from? They're not borrowing in the name of the United States government. They're borrowing in the name of every one of us citizens. They're leveraging us as collateral, basically, through all of our work. And it's us that owes that fucking money, you moron. It's us. It's every one of us that owes that money. So somewhere along the line, something's got to give. Something's got to give. It's simple as that. This country's not going to keep going. As much as I love it, until it learns how to control itself, spend money, and get all these people to stop thinking that the government can just pull shit out of its ass and fucking print up money and it doesn't. Sure, we print money, but that's all like backed by debt. We don't just pay out. I don't understand what these people think. We don't just, the shit just doesn't come from nowhere. Goods, services, that's how the world works. Goods and services, everybody's getting something paid somehow. There's nothing for free. That money that we make is used to pay some other country, but there's debt. And all that debt is accrued by guess who? Their money, the spigot's got to get shut off somewhere. We got to start tightening it up, or this country's not going to keep going. All right, everybody. I'm almost rambled on and on for about an hour. I think it's time for me to call it a day. This show is longer than I've been trying to keep them down to about 45 minutes, and I rambled a little longer than usual. But I love you guys. God bless you. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you all next week. And I will see you in the usual chats where we congregate. Y'all have a good week.
Hittin' it with HardWire, we're burning it bright. Living on the edge, we'll ride through the night. No fear in our hearts, just the roar of the steel. Together we rise, now this life feels real. Yeah, held a new path on that twisted black line. A YouTube dream where his past can't confine. With every rev, he's reclaiming his soul, teaching the world how to ride, how to roll. Rising up high when the shadows surround. HardWire's the name, and he's making it loud. Hittin' it with